In this chilling tale, we follow Amanda, a seasoned archaeologist, as she leads a team into the depths of an ancient, uncharted forest. Driven by the thrill of discovery, they uncover a mysterious tomb long buried beneath the Earth's surface. Brace yourself for a journey where some secrets are best left buried, and some discoveries can never be undone.
The forest had always been a place of mystery and danger, its dense canopy of ancient trees hiding secrets long forgotten by the world. For weeks, our team of archaeologists had been working in its shadowed depths, driven by the promise of a discovery that would change the course of history. Led by Dr. Ethan Monroe, our goal was to uncover a long-lost tomb, buried deep within the earth, its existence whispered about only in the oldest and most obscure of legends. Little did we know, the true horror of our discovery was something beyond our wildest nightmares. It began with a whisper, a faint, almost imperceptible sound that seemed to emanate from the very ground beneath our feet. At first, we dismissed it as nothing more than the wind playing tricks on our minds, but as the days passed, the whisper grew louder, more insistent. It called to us, beckoning us deeper into the heart of the forest, where the trees grew thicker and the light of day barely penetrated. The air was heavy with the scent of decay, and the ground beneath us felt soft, as if it had been disturbed recently. As we dug deeper, clearing away the earth and vegetation, we uncovered the entrance to the tomb. It was a massive stone structure, its surface covered in strange symbols that none of us could decipher. The entrance itself was a dark, gaping hole, as if the earth had opened its mouth to swallow us whole. A sense of dread settled over the team, but the excitement of discovery overpowered our fear. With Ethan leading the way, we descended into the darkness, our torches flickering as if in protest against the ancient malevolence that surrounded us. The interior of the tomb was vast, its walls lined with carvings that told a story of a civilization lost to time. But it was not the carvings that held our attention. It was the object at the center of the chamber, resting on a pedestal of stone. It was a small, intricately carved box, its surface adorned with symbols that seemed to shift and change as we looked at them. There was something about the box, something that filled me with an overwhelming sense of unease. I wanted to leave it there, to seal the tomb and forget we had ever found it. But Ethan was adamant. We had to open it, to see what secrets it held. As we lifted the lid, a cold gust of air swept through the chamber, extinguishing our torches. In the darkness, I felt something stir, a presence that had been dormant for millennia, now awakened by our intrusion. The box was empty, but the virus it contained had been released into the air, invisible, insidious, and deadly. At first, there were no signs that anything was wrong. We returned to our camp, excited by our discovery, but as the days passed, strange things began to happen. The team members started to change, their behavior becoming erratic, their tempers short. They complained of headaches, of strange dreams that left them feeling drained and disoriented. And then the whispers returned, louder and more persistent than before. They spoke of ancient fears, of forgotten memories, of a time when the world was young and humanity was at the mercy of the elements. It wasn't long before the virus took hold, affecting us in ways we couldn't have imagined. It wasn't just a physical illness, it was something that reached deep into our minds, resurrecting memories and instincts long buried by time. The first to fall was Sarah, one of our researchers. She had been complaining of headaches for days, but we had all dismissed it as exhaustion. But then, one night, she snapped. I woke to the sound of her screams, her voice raw with terror. She was clawing at her own skin, her eyes wild with fear, as if she were seeing something that wasn't there. It's inside me. As she screamed, her voice a mixture of rage and terror. I can't get it out. I can't get it out. We tried to calm her, to reason with her, but it was no use. She was lost to us, consumed by the virus that had taken root in her mind. In the end, she fled into the forest, her screams echoing through the trees until they faded into silence. We searched for her, but she was gone, lost in the endless maze of trees and shadows. Sarah was only the beginning. One by one, the others began to succumb, their minds unraveling as the virus took hold. It was as if the tomb had infected us with something ancient, something primal, that awakened the darkest parts of our psyche. The virus resurrected memories we didn't know we had, fears and traumas that had been passed down through generations. It wasn't just a disease. It was a curse, a punishment for our arrogance in disturbing the tomb. The virus spread quickly, moving from one person to the next, until we were all infected. But it wasn't just our minds that were affected, our bodies began to change as well. We became stronger, faster, but also more aggressive, more violent. The virus awakened something in us, something that had been dormant for millennia. It brought out the worst in us, turning us into creatures driven by fear and rage. The camp became a battleground, as those of us who still had some semblance of sanity tried to survive against the others, who had become little more than animals. Ethan was one of the last to fall, his mind unraveling as the virus took hold. He had always been the strongest, the most determined, but even he couldn't resist the pull of the ancient curse. I watched as he descended into madness, his eyes wild with fear as he lashed out at anything that moved. Stay away from me," he shouted, his voice hoarse with fear. I won't let you take me. I won't become one of them." But it was too late. The virus had already taken him, just as it had taken the others. And as I stood there, watching him descend into madness, I realized that there was no escape. The virus was inside all of us, and it was only a matter of time before it consumed us completely. The forest around us seemed to come alive with the virus, the trees themselves seeming to whisper of ancient fears and forgotten traumas. I began to see things, visions of a time long past, when the world was young and humanity was still struggling to survive. The virus brought these memories to the surface, forcing us to relive them over and over again until we were little more than the primal beings we had once been. I tried to escape, to flee the forest and leave the tomb far behind, but the virus had taken hold of me as well. I could feel it in my mind, in my thoughts, twisting and warping them until I could no longer tell what was real and what was just a figment of my imagination. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, until they were all I could hear. They spoke of ancient horrors, of a time when the world was ruled by creatures that defied comprehension. And I knew deep down that those creatures were still here, waiting for the right moment to return. In the end, I was the only one left. The others had either succumbed to the virus or fled into the forest, never to be seen again. I wandered the camp, my mind unraveling, the whispers my only companions. I knew that I was losing myself, that the virus was taking hold of me just as it had the others. But I couldn't fight it. The memories it brought to the surface were too strong, too real. They consumed me, leaving me little more than a shell of the person I had once been. And then one night as I sat by the fire, I saw him, Ethan, or what was left of him. His eyes were empty, his face twisted into a grotesque mask of fear and pain. He stood there, silent and still, watching me with an intensity that sent a chill down my spine. And in that moment, I realized the truth. I was never meant to leave the forest. The whispers, the virus, the ancient curse, it had claimed me, just as it had claimed the others. And now, as I sat there, staring into the eyes of what had once been my friend, I knew that there was no escape. The forest was not just a place. It was a living, breathing entity, a prison that I could never escape. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, as I wandered the forest, my mind slowly unraveling. The virus had taken everything from me. My friends, my sanity, my very identity. I was no longer Amanda, the archaeologist. I was something else, something ancient and primal, a creature of the forest. And then, one day, I found myself standing at the edge of the tomb, the place where it had all begun. The entrance was still there, gaping and dark, as if waiting for me to return. I felt a strange compulsion to enter, to go back to where it had all started. The whispers called to me, beckoning me forward, and I knew that I had no choice. I descended into the tomb, the darkness closing in around me, the air thick with the scent of decay. The walls were lined with carvings, just as they had been before, but now I could understand them. They told the story of a civilization that had once ruled the world, a civilization that had been brought to its knees by the very curse that now consumed me. The virus had been their downfall, just as it was ours. And I realized, with a sickening certainty, that we had unleashed it upon the world once more. As I reached the chamber where we had found the box, I saw it, the relic, still resting on its pedestal, untouched by time. The box was open, and the darkness inside seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. I felt drawn to it, as if it held the answers to all of my questions. But as I reached out to touch it, I heard a voice. My own voice, but twisted, warped, as if coming from a great distance. You were never meant to survive, it said, a cold, emotionless tone that sent a shiver down my spine. You are one of us now. And in that moment, I realized the true horror of what I had become. The virus, the curse, the whispers, they had all been a part of me from the beginning. The tomb, the horrors we had unleashed, it was all just a reflection of the darkness within my own mind. And as I stood there, staring into the darkness, I knew that I would never escape. The tomb was my prison, and the virus was my only companion. Forever. Or was it? In the final moments, just as the first light of dawn began to break through the trees, I heard something that sent a chill down my spine. It was the sound of a child's laughter, distant but unmistakable. I turned, my heart pounding in my chest, and there, standing in the shadows, was a boy. He was drawing something in the dirt, his face hidden by the darkness. As I moved closer, I saw what he was drawing. Monsters, twisted and grotesque, with eyes that seemed to stare right into my soul. I wanted to scream, to run, but I was rooted to the spot, unable to move. The boy looked up, his eyes meeting mine, and in that moment, I knew the truth. I was the monster. The virus, the curse, the whispers. It had all been a part of me from the beginning. The tomb, the horrors we had unleashed, it was all just a reflection of the darkness within my own mind. And as the boy's laughter echoed through the forest, I realized that I was trapped, not in the tomb, but within my own twisted psyche. The final realization hit me like a freight train. I had never left the tomb. I was still there, buried beneath the earth, lost in the darkness, my mind shattered by the horrors I had uncovered. And as the last light of dawn faded, leaving me alone in the eternal night, I knew that I would never escape. The tomb was my prison, and the monsters were my only companions. Forever.
Remember that not all discoveries bring enlightenment. Some bring only darkness and despair. If you're ready for another spine-tingling experience, we've selected a video about the creepypasta, Jeff the Killer. It's on your screen now. And remember to subscribe. Until next time, stay curious, but be cautious, because some mysteries are better left unsolved. Thank you for watching, especially to the subscribers for supporting our stories. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more thrilling tales. See you in the next video. Make sure to come back tomorrow for another new video.